This election season, the Kayla Evans Show on Bowie TV brings you up close and personal with Prince George's County executive candidates. It's more than politics, we're diving into their stories, passions, and visions for our community. Tune in daily on Bowie TV local channels and YouTube, and on the Kayla Evans Show YouTube channel. The special election is March 4th. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Kayla Evans Show. This platform is uniquely designed to educate and empower individuals of all walks of life as we converse with experts of various industries. These intellectual conversations are designed to inspire and uplift members of our culture and society, collectively gaining knowledge and information dedicated to our human experience. Let's get into it. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Kayla Evans Show here on Bowie TV. I'm your host, Kayla Evans, and today we're continuing our PG County Executive Forum series. We're diving deep into the race for the Prince George's County Executive in the upcoming special election. Our guest today is Albert Slocum, a candidate with a unique background in finance, community service, and a strong commitment to improving the lives of residents here in Prince George's County. Albert has spent his career advocating for financial transparency, creating opportunities for our youth, and serving his community. Today, we'll explore his vision for the future of the county, his approach to addressing the challenges we face, and his plans for balancing economic growth with equity and inclusion. Let's discuss these important issues and more with Mr. Albert Slocum this evening. Welcome to the show, Mr. Slocum. How are you this evening?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, and hope all is well with everyone here. Thank you. It's an honor to be
Absolutely.
here.
So one of the things that I like to do on the show is to make it things a little bit more relaxed for folks to be able to just understand humanity first. Before we get into titles and positions and accolades, I like to understand who individuals are as individuals themselves. So do you want to, I gave your background, but do you want to give folks just a quick intro to who you are as Albert Slocum himself?
Yes, absolutely. I'm originally from Bridgeport, Connecticut. For those of you who are familiar with Bridgeport, it's outside of New York, about 45 minutes. And I'm the youngest of 10 children.
Oh, wow.
Yes, five of us brothers and five sisters. So three are no longer with us today, unfortunately, due
Mhm.
to circumstances that we all go through on a day-to-day basis regarding life and just things that happen in our communities. I grew up in affordable housing, which we call the projects, and that was pretty tough, very tough. Being the youngest of 10, you're thinking you're in good hands with your bigger brothers and sisters, but they're actually preparing you for life. They're not, coddling you. They're kind of like toughing you up, right? So you can handle the ups and downs, as you go through life, especially as we call the hood. I became an activist at the early age of 13. My mother actually inspired me. She's always been very involved in the community and just trying to bring about real change in the community based on her circumstances, trying to raise a large family like ours.
Absolutely.
And exactly, and she did her best. She did her best. And my older brothers, they worked to earn a living at a very young age, and that's where I got those habits, those good work habits, practices, and early on in life, as far as working at an early age. And I started work around 12 or 13, by the way. I
Wow.
started, yes, and I tutor youth individuals, um, students my age or older. And I loved it because I was able to have real talk with them. I I'm a part of the public school system. I grew up, going to grammar school, public schools, junior high, then high school. I attended Buller Havens Regional Vocational Technical High School, which is a what we call here a trade school, and took up carpentry. I loved it. I saw the love for development at an early age, construction, and I took on a couple of years, building, like actually building properties, and learned a lot. There was, a lot of takeaway with that as far as how people lived compared to those who lived in projects and affordable housing. So that inspired me to move on. I didn't want to do that too long. Instead, I wanted to have like a white collar job, and get the education, further my education. So I went to Howard University, studied finance, and from there I took on other roles within the community as far as food drives and things of that nature, because again, it tied to my experiences and what I've done, and how we lived, and the limited resources that we had. So I didn't want others to have a lack of those type of resources. I wanted to actually give back to my community, and that was in Washington D.C. So I lived in Washington D.C. for several years and worked in various roles in corporate America, from property, hotel, motel management to
Mhm.
managing a large staff, of managers, directors, supervisors, and I loved it. We were actually building a portfolio, a real estate asset portfolio, and making that actually profitable for the stakeholders. As I moved on with my career, I began to you know get into the financial arena, where it was banking, lending, commercial, retail, and started early on as far as insurance. I helped thousands of people as far as financial literacy, financial education. From there, I worked in various industries, including marketing, sales, production management, mutual funds and securities, where I helped individuals get ready for retirement. Managed about a third of $1 billion in assets, and that gave me the opportunity to become more engaged with the community, shaking hands, talking to people. And when I had that kind of interaction with individuals, as far as young to seniors, I started hearing their stories and didn't know, but that led to my interest and desire to want to know more about what people in the communities were thinking and what they wanted to have a better quality of life. So my political advocacy began at that
Mhm.
stint, and I basically, took off from that there, and just getting more and more involved and knocking on doors, just for the love of it, and it was part of my community reinvestment initiative as well, for the companies that I for. We were giving back to those communities that were underprivileged and underserved, and I've done that for a number of years. So all in all, I worked in corporate America for about 30 years, and I then went on to pursue my human resource development degree, Master of Arts, at Bowie State University. Um, Bulldog Nations, woohoo, right?
Go ahead, Bulldogs. Come on, Blue. State.
you know, and I loved it at Bowie. I saw the energy, I saw the brilliance as far as the young minds, and I said, wait a minute, we have some serious human capital resources here. What can I do to tap into this? So I started
Absolutely.
building exactly, those relationships, and while doing so, I started my own company. My own business was a consulting company, helping out local small businesses, as well as other companies throughout different regions of the state, and provided, acted as a person to go to if they needed any compensation and benefits, advisory services, and if they needed help as far as making decisions from a hiring to a firing or training perspective. I also did something with the county, as far as a piloted initiative in training and development for their senior level management company, for their senior management division department in the county. So I love that as well. It was very interesting. And from there, I ran for county council back in 2018, and we had a wonderful experience again, connecting with people in the communities, and mainly the seniors and youths, and just kind of seeing the different opportunities that were available at their disposal. I felt like there wasn't enough of that, and that also led me to start digging deeper into like what kind of programs we can actually implement that would help help individuals have a better quality of life. I mean, people were, and this is real talk, they were struggling as far as putting food on the table.
Mhm.
Many people were unemployed, and those that were in school, getting their education, their master's degree, they were having a hard time finding jobs, and I couldn't put my finger on that as to why, because we're here in a predominantly black county, Prince George's County, and people still are having a hard time, finding employment, at least you know employment that was sustainable, that would help them pay the bills. So fast forward, I decided, okay, what else can I do for the county that would have a strong impact on the people in the community? And as
Right.
I
Hence why you decided to run for Prince George's County Executive at this particular time.
at this point here, it led me to that because the development aspect of it was really a core piece. And development, you know, actually didn't make common sense to me, and I needed to know why. So
When
I
you say
decided,
the development didn't make sense, what do you mean?
there's a lot of hearsay as far as overdevelopment. So I want to know what that meant, and because I didn't see a whole lot of overdevelopment, I saw development that did not fit the aesthetics of the community,
Okay.
as far as helping that community thrive, and without displacing the current residents in that community. So I wanted to learn more about that. And I decided to go to NYU and get my Master of Science in Real Estate Development. Learn that, had some projects that I was so happy to, just be involved in New York, part of my curriculum. And I'm still learning, and felt like, hey, I can translate um, that educational experience here to the county some years
Absolutely.
later. Yes.
Now, I want to, since understanding your background in financial stewardship and economic growth and development from the business perspective, a lot of residents here in Prince George's County, understanding that there is a strong presence of affluent Black residents as well, feel as if there's untapped economic potential here, and this area isn't getting enough fair share of business investment compared to neighboring jurisdictions. Um, if elected, how would you help to change that dynamic? What would that look like?
Well, with the current client as we know it, it is what it is. We're not going to be able to change it. I think that as your next county executive, we first and foremost need to get a handle on our local economy, our local um, workforce development, and I think supporting the local businesses and giving them the resources like funding, or from a lending standpoint, 0% interest on loans, where they can pay that back over time. Giving them also tax benefits, or incentivized economic incentivized taxation on their the revenue that they earn, but after the first 5 years, just kind of giving them some opportunity to grow and build up their business so that they can, have a sustainable, um, force in the local economy here in Prince George's County. I think that local businesses can, and they are the heart of the county, local economy, and
Absolutely.
they can add value as far as hiring our our residents. And I call, first right of refusal to the residents, instead of them finding jobs outside of the county. Why not work here? So that's one thing that I would do. The other thing is to support our government at the county level, in a sense of creating other viable options where we can have proprietary services or products and generate revenue with that. And we can then hire hundreds, maybe thousands of new employees, and opening up other initiatives, other departments within the county, and that should be self-sustainable. It's kind of like using the United States Patent and Trade Office.
Okay.
They're pretty much self-generated, right? They generate their own revenue, and then from that they're able to pay for the salaries and wages and compensation benefits. I think we need to have something here in the county, and then
That's
lastly,
fantastic. Hmm.
get our communities involved, our fellow neighbors, and really kind of sit down at the table, bring them to the table with their ideas and innovation, and then collaborate on ways that we can pull those ideas and implement them with viable solutions.
That's fantastic. And kind of on that same trajectory, understanding where the money is coming into the county and flowing out of. Everyone's talking about the budget, right? Everyone's talking about the deficit in the state budget. And from your financial lens, where do you see the most wasteful spending right now in the county's budget, and how will you ensure that taxpayer dollars are utilized more efficiently?
Okay, great question. The majority are the funds are going into education, about $3 billion going into that, and then public safety. I think that, not to say put a cap on any of that there. I think we need to spend more money in those areas, only because we need to identify the source of spending and allocate it where it's going to have a domino effect as far as improving the educational system, for example. Now, $3 billion, I mean, it's a lot of money, and yet we still have challenges within our educational system. I don't think that we're utilizing the funds where they should be. I think they're going somewhere else, or the monies are just not utilized in a smart way, and we're not getting to the root cause of why we're struggling and at the educational level. I think the students there could definitely use better resources as far as world class um, resources, state of the art resources. I think building the schools, that's a great thing, but I don't think we should start from scratch. I don't think that money is going in a place where it's being best used by building from scratch and then creating a new building. I think right now, because of the deficit that we're in, which is over $171 million, we need to reconstruct these buildings, and these buildings that are vacant, underperforming, we need to
Okay.
reconstruct them and then utilize that money in that sense there. So we'll save millions of dollars, and then look at other ways where the school system is suffering, and then come up with viable solutions to help.
That's fantastic. So it sounds like we're utilizing what we already have within the county to restructure and reframe work from the inside out.
That's right.
I want to connect it back to your original statement when you were talking about your background and growing up where you grew up in affordable housing. That's a growing concern everywhere, but also here within Prince George's County. How do you plan to balance economic development and growth while still ensuring that longtime residents aren't priced out of their existing communities?
Well, you know, um, cost of living
Mhm.
is an issue across the country. Here in Prince George's County, it doesn't have to be that. There are areas where we can create affordable living, quality, smart living. But the question becomes, what does that mean to the people who we're actually making it available to, right? So affordable, you're making six figures and you can afford, $600,000 home. Well, that may be affordable for people making six figures or more. But what about the people who are making below the poverty line,
Mhm.
or who are the working class poor? How can we create affordable housing with that? So to that point, we need to be creative as far as cutting our costs down from a building construction standpoint, and come up with modular and sustainable green development. which cuts our costs and time down so we can build a significant amount of space for people who are living below the poverty line or who are making a certain amount of income, but not quite enough to afford the
Hmm.
high end pricing of sales of homes. The other aspect is we need legislation. So I will work with the county council to propose a bill that will prevent homes from being sold at an astronomical amount. Now, I'm a real estate licensee as well, and I understand how the marketing is, and how the builders actually astronomically price out the cost of these homes, and they're really not affordable for everyone. So,
Right.
in order for that to happen, I think we need to improve how there's a ceiling on how much those homes can be sold for, and lastly, bring in developers with common sense that are nonprofit or not for profit developers, and allow them to start creating, building, designing, and having that vision. Give them, the opportunity to help Prince George's County become strong in that economic era that we're in now, where we need it the most as far as significant space that's affordable for everyone.
Absolutely. That sounds like reasonable development, as I'd like to call it, to where we're not pricing people out of where they are in their particular community. Um, I want to pivot a little bit more now and talk a little bit more about public safety. You said that's one of your priorities alongside um, talking about education. Public safety is a big deal to our residents here in Prince George's County.
That's right.
Crime, in particularly youth crime, is a major concern for voters, as we know. And beyond policing, what community driven strategies would you implement to address this root cause of crime?
Well, we all know that youth crime is on the up and up, right? There is higher with the ghost guns, having access to those type of, materials that they can build anywhere. And with 3D design and printing, you can actually, have your own homemade gun made at home if you have the right equipment, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
So I believe that our public safety and the community need to work together, and the parents do as well as the school. Like, we all need to be in this together and really putting our heads together as far as like just keeping a sharp eye on our youths. That's number one, making sure that they're not doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and observing their behavior, observing who they hang out with, their patterns, right? Just kind of policing at home as well as the public safety policing outside of the home. Number two, I think that with our youth crime being at the level where it is now, and other crimes amongst adults and domestic violence, but more so these violent crimes,
Hmm.
I think that we need to ask ourselves a question. For instance, those crimes are related to like either homicide or suicide, or are they more financial crimes in a sense of burglary? Okay.
Yes.
And if they are more economically related, then we need to get to the root cause. Everything's to the root cause, right? We need to figure out, okay, where's this coming from? And what can we do to solve that issue? Is it creating jobs? Is it creating training opportunities? Is it creating a vocational technical um, institution for high schoolers as well as for adults, after school programs, or night school for adults to get further training so they can do better, right? Because if we do better, then, we're able to be better, and we're able to live better, and we're not looking for ways to try to hustle or make an extra dollar and live that life of crime. The other aspect is that we need to figure out programs that are conducive for every child across the board, because every
That's right.
child is not wired the same way.
That's
Let's be
right.
real, right? We may have like, the arts for certain type of students. We may have academically inclined programs for, your high, rollers, as far as, those with higher GPAs. But not everyone's going to get the GPA. So we need to find something that's more conducive. Now, I've seen a lot of graffiti out there. And in my opinion, instead of, chastising that behavior, We need to complement the behavior and
That's
just
right.
use a different vacuum for it and redirect that energy to something that they may want to, you know, be transparent with, right? Use their arts, development, their ability to draw and graffiti, and let them express it in a portal or platform on a platform that's conducive, and they get the attention that they are actually looking to get, to
Absolutely.
affirm their skills, right? So we need things that are going to make sense to these students to keep them off the streets, to keep them engaged. Now, many of the youths are exploited. We know that. Okay, there's human trafficking, but then there's also exploitation of our children, and look, folks are using them because they're vulnerable. They're desperate. They want to be a part of a family. They want that belongingness, right? Or they want to earn some extra money so they can do the basic things in life. So we need to basically head that off and be that front line and be there for them. And by doing so, I think that that will help reduce the crime. And we can also say honestly that it will help the police, the public safety, as far as do their job, because it commensurates with, you know, helping the community at
Right.
large from a crime reduction standpoint.
That's right. Community accountability and community policing.
Right.
It starts at home. Prince George's County has had its share of political scandal and ethical concerns. And we've seen a certain type of politician over and over again. But if elected, what specific reforms would you implement to improve the transparency and rebuild public trust in our local government?
Great question. Great question. That's a question that I've thought about time after
Mhm.
time, and it doesn't come up often. But transparency, accountability, and performance, I call it TAP,
Okay.
TAP acronym, using that, along with having integrity, character, and ethics. All those go hand in hand. I, I would I would definitely push for legislation to support those who, you know, if they've been in office, you know, playing musical chairs. I think we should at least limit that. So if you, for example, if you're at
Hmm.
the county council level and you served in one of the districts, but then you're going, for the council at large level, I don't
Yes.
think you should be able to do that. Once you're on a county council, you're on a county council. That's it. You know, if you want to be the chairwoman or chairman during your 2 terms, 8 years, do that in the interim. But once you serve 2 terms consecutively, that's it. You're done. You move on to something else instead of playing musical chairs in the county. The other thing is that, um,
Absolutely.
thank you. And we can't. I don't know specifically why people do what they do, but when you follow the money, everything has some sort of story, right? It's consistent
Yes,
to
it
all these
is.
scandals when it comes to money, 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 right? Maybe people are mismanaging their money, but the county council and county executive make good money. And you're making that kind of money and you're not managing your monies. You're not making sound decisions with your finances, and you're using taxpayers dollars. That's obvious. You're going to get in trouble. But the question is why are you doing that? Accountability in that sense, as far as training and some form of financial education, should be a requirement, should be mandatory, and continuing education for every council member, even county executive, just to make sure that you have the right acumen, you have the right emotional intelligence, or
Mhm.
you have the right motives, um, because you're representing the public. What you have done personally in your personal time, what have you, I get that. We're all not perfect, right? We all have things coming out of our closets, but when you take on that role and you use taxpayers' monies or you abuse your power, that becomes a problem. And you have to separate your situation from the role as county executive or county council.
Absolutely. So I want to stay here on this accountability and ethics train because that's very important to me as an informed voter, and seeing the musical chairs number that's been happening a lot amidst these various special elections over the past couple of years. How will you ensure that, as a member of county leadership, in that spirit of accountability and transparency, that you remain accessible to everyday residents, not just in special interest groups or in development spaces. As a primary resident here in the community, how will you remain accessible to residents and your constituents?
Well, I've always been hands on, and I plan to continue being that way. I understand time is of the essence, and sometimes the role may tie up your opportunity to be accessible all the time the way that you want to. But what would help, um, in my style of leadership, is to get more engaged with the community, inviting the community to the table. Number one, not just developers or other politicians or community leaders, and edifying them, but the people of Prince George's County are what make the county what it is. And if we can strengthen those relationships by being more accessible, I think that the
Mhm.
county will obviously be better off, and people will take more pride and be prouder of the county. And if we give them reasons to be proud, like getting more people involved, being a part of Prince George's County by getting in where they fit in. That's number
That's
two.
right.
Get in where you fit in. Not strong arming people and just kind of like directing them in the direction that you think that you need to put them, but actually find out what their likes are, what their passions are, what they actually bring to the table based on their education, their experience, and their passion. Number three is that visiting, as many communities as possible, going to and supporting many functions or events that these Prince Georgians and communities actually take pride in, that they're spending a whole lot of time, effort, and resources on. I think that we should honor that, and not leave them out there as if they're some kind of stepchild or stepchildren.
Right, right.
So those would be the top of my list there as far as being more accessible and involved in the community. The other things, I know when I was growing up, in different areas of the East Coast, like Connecticut, and I had a short residency in Brooklyn, New York. We had summer league games, right? So involve the kids in that. Whether that's baseball. I know police athletic league has a baseball league, so kind of capitalize on that. But get the youth involved as well, and the parents will come. You know, the parents will come. Now, if the parents are too busy and they have to work, I get that because they have to make a living. So often enough, we talk about all these other issues, but we forgot about childcare, and we don't hear that as much. Since
You know,
COVID, hit the shores here, we stopped talking about it, but people still have that as a reality. And I think that if we help even subsidize childcare, then this will allow parents to be able to work and maybe make their schedule flexible enough where they can get engaged and involved in their children's extracurricular activities. And that's another way that we can actually get the community and the people of Prince George County more involved.
absolutely. Well, I want to speak more to what your legacy would look like. Should you be elected and people come out of this saying, wow, Mr. Slocum, as the Prince George's County executive, he really left his legacy. What would one major initiative or accomplishment be that you would want to leave behind that defines your legacy within the county?
Be united, be proud, be strong. Prince George's County, a place to be. And what that means to me is that I want everyone who either has lived here or want to live here to be a part of Prince George's County because we are economically thriving, because we finally created a central business district
Mhm.
where larger companies can come in and help support, foster our growing educational system as well, and then creating tens and thousands of jobs, well-paying jobs, along with supporting the local businesses as well at the local economy level. I want to be able to leave a legacy where Prince George County will never be in the red, but we will stay in the black with financial stability, years to come, generations to come, and that people will be thriving in every community, all 9 districts. Now, if we look around, there are certain districts that are, they're booming, they're improving, they're developing, and then there are other districts that are really not doing too well, and they're just staying the same. They're not really growing economically, and a lot of folks are being displaced as a result of cost of living, right, rising. I want to be able to bridge that gap amongst all 9 districts where we're
Mhm.
working together cohesively, and financially, our fiscal year budget will reflect that strength, and we'll be so proud of that, that we would be an example for other counties and maybe
That's right.
even other states to come.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is fine. This is fantastic, sir. This is fantastic.
Thank you.
I want, as we get ready to close the interview, this is one question that I'm asking universally in these very unprecedented, uncertain times. And that is, in the spirit of community and humanity and compassion, what's something that you would leave here tonight with our audience base in just a spirit of hope and encouragement and upliftment, as we approach the special election and beyond?
Thank you for that question. It's near and dear to me to share with our viewers, with our fellow Prince Georgians, that we should not be entering this election in a divided way. We should be looking at this election as making a wise decision, not a decision based on popularity,
Mm,
based on who's endorsing the other candidates, or the mail the mailing ballots, right? Just looking at what's popular by name recognition. We should be entering this special election with discernment, with prayer,
mm,
because the next whoever is the next county executive will have a whole lot on their hands and on their shoulders. And if they are not ready, they're not prepared, it can be chaotic, it can be catastrophic, it can be worse than where we are. And the handwriting's on the wall. We have a new administration. Presidential election was not what we ideally wanted to be, but this administration may not make things conducive for us to be able to live the way that we know now.
right.
Things may be different. So this leader, the new elected county executive, has to be the one that knows how to work through the storm, right? And really understand what kind of decisions to make in a fast-paced environment as well as under pressure. Now, when it comes to making informed decisions, calculated decisions, and delegating matters, as well as utilizing my team building and leadership skills, and bringing more people together, I would be that candidate. And I want everyone that's voting or has not voted or is on the fence and has not made up their mind, or they have made up their mind, there's still time to make a decision, to change your decision, to consider that leader that will fight for you no matter what, that will stick it out, that will stay there, be the first and the last, the first to arrive and the last to leave, and will not leave anyone hanging where we're just kind of doing our own little thing now, and we're separated, we're divided. Because ultimately, people need to understand which candidate will bring people together. People do talk and they do, say things, but action and performance, past performance, okay, those individuals that have already been in office and they're moving to another office, musical chairs, ask yourself, what have they done lately?
That's
And what
real.
they've done lately, how has that helped you out? And if they win the elected seat, then what does that mean for everyone else?
That's right.
So I'm not a politician. I'm not connected or tied to any establishments. I'm for the people because I walked in your shoes and I understand and I empathize for seniors, youths, local businesses, uh, students, teachers, public safety, development, crime reduction. We can mention a number of things, but at the end of the day, I've been through that storm and I've gotten out of it and I can get out of it again. And as your next county executive, I can help the county not only get out of the deficit that it's in, but also stand firm against what's to come.
Mic drop. We're going to leave it right there, sir. Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
time and your engagement and for your transparency and authenticity tonight on this recording. Folks, this is Mr. Albert Slocum. He's here um, as he's running for PG County Executive. How can folks find you online and follow what you're doing on social media? We want to make sure that we have that available.
Sure. My website is albertslocum.com. You can find me on Facebook as Albert District 5 Slocum or Prince George's for Slocum. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Nextdoor and Twitter. But I'm mainly on Nextdoor, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Absolutely. Well, sir, best wishes to you. Good luck as we prepare for this upcoming special election. Folks, you have all the information you need to make these informed decisions moving into the voting booths. Until next time, thank you, family. Signing off, Kayla Evans. Thank you so much for joining me for another extraordinary conversation today on The Kayla Evans Show. I invite you to stay engaged with me on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Please follow me at The Kayla Evans Show on all social media and podcast platforms. More love, more life, more blessings. Until we meet again.